Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love The Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh, and Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
And here we are. We are now live. Another Indie Creator Spotlight powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. And that was our ad, Deadly Grounds ad for our sponsor. And, this show is all about supporting indie professionals, indie artists, indie creatives, and indie businesses, like Deadly Grounds Coffee. They're a local mom and pop shop here in Connecticut. We absolutely love them, and that's why they're a sponsor of ours. And with us today, we have Patrick.
Hello, I'm here along with Leo today.
Hello. It is Monday.
It is Monday.
Would you like to introduce our awesome guest?
I would. Today, you might have recently heard her interview with myself and Ashes on Throwdown Thursday. Tonight, we are joined by phenomenal filmmaker. Yes. That's what happens when you skip rehearsal. And all-around super cool lady, Alyssa Botelho. Alyssa, thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're very excited to have you back.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm glad Leo got a chance to see your short film. And today is the day that it dropped on YouTube. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, it is. The big day. It's been exciting.
It is. And we got a chance, Ashes and I, even though she's not with us for this show, we got a chance to meet you back at a short film screening in Providence back in, it seems like it was about 14 years ago, but it was February. And we were very, very impressed by your short film, Junkie. It's about 20 minutes long, and there's a lot packed into it. And obviously, because it just dropped today, we don't want to go into too much spoiler territory. But she and I were also, Ashes and I were also very surprised to find out that this was your first film. So tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a student at University of Rhode Island, and last year I was a junior. So I heard a story from someone. It's a true story. And it really inspired me to make it into a short film for a production class I had last year. So I started writing it. And then I got a team together with some kids that were in my class, and then some friends from home too that are into filmmaking. And we shot it in 3 days, and we wrapped on almost exactly a year ago today. Yeah, and then we edited it. We had a screening in my town and at URI in the December, January area. And yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
And so this was a project for your class, which, do you think that you would have made this film if it hadn't been like a requirement of your schoolwork?
I would have liked to think so. Yeah, I would have liked to think so. I'm trying to always make stuff and just keep my skills up. But doing it through the school really gave me a lot of resources that I don't think I otherwise would have had. Access to people that are really into filmmaking as well. And, things like liability or whatever, the school covers insurance and stuff like that. And I just got a lot of guidance through the school. So I think that it was a much better film than it would have been if I didn't do it through a class.
Now, I just have to say, it's absolutely phenomenal that this is your first movie. We've spoken to a lot of indie filmmakers, and a lot of times their first few movies, it's shot incredibly well, but the audio is really bad, or the music doesn't really sync up, or the video's terrible but the audio's great. Everything was just on par with this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Totally. So tell us about the film process, like what equipment you used, how many people were on the team, how did that come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we had about like 15 to 20 people on our crew, and it was mostly students. And my boyfriend actually was the DP, and we shot on the Sony A7S Mark II. And that was something that we very strategically picked because we did have access to, I forget what it was, but it was this camera that like shot, beautiful quality, but it just kind of seemed a little bit too commercial. I wanted it to feel a little bit more like it could have happened in the early 2000s, almost like a Breaking Bad with their, how they shoot and film. I wanted to have that kind of feel. So we went with the Sony. And then, so it was about 15 crew members. And then we did have one person who's a professional, and it was our colorist. His name is Mike Grazilla, and he works in Boston, and he was amazing.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that when you try to go for a specific look for a film, the camera that you use can definitely either aid or hinder that. Like if you're looking for something like, I want this, like if you were to shoot like, the Avengers movies on, 35 millimeter, it's not going to have quite the same look. Or if you're using the same rendering software for like, one of the Grindhouse films, like this super high tech, 8K camera for a Grindhouse film, it doesn't have that same effect to it. So I think what you're talking about here, making that conscious choice to choose that specific camera, I think that really it helped the overall aesthetic and atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there was a period where I looked at it and I was like, I wish we could have afforded like a Red or an Ari or something insane like that. But, now being so far from it, it's been a year. I think that it was a good choice. It feels a little bit more like and I kind of got it. It does feel more student filmy. I feel like it feels more raw that way and not as processed, with the super crazy, intense, high quality, you can see everybody pores, that kind of thing.
We do have the trailer for it. Would you like to introduce it?
Sure. So this is the trailer of Junkie. It just gives you, enough of a taste without spoiling everything. And yeah, that's basically it.
just tough to quit using. It's not too late to start over.
Now, the cop, well, one of the cops, Matthew Sapaglia, I'm
Tequila.
so I saw he was an actual cop.
Yes, and it's actually so cool that we could talk about this because you'll notice that in the movie itself, he's credited as Matt David, and that was kind of his stage name for a while. He's really involved with plays, but he's trying to get into film. And it was actually like a secret. When he came to set, he didn't tell anybody. Nobody really knew. And then he kind of whispered to me at the end. And he was like, "Oh, I just wanted to let you know that, I am a cop." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And, he was like, yeah, I'm a cop and I'm trying to get into acting more. And that's why I was really drawn to your role. And then very recently he emailed me and he said, "Hey, I'm not trying to cover up the fact that I'm a cop so much anymore. Like, the department's okay with me saying basically like I am a cop and that's my background." And yeah, so Matthew Sapagila, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Now, you also you put yourself into the film as well. You had a cameo role. Tell us a bit about that and how you came to that decision.
Yeah. So I did. I actually forget about that all the time. But I play just a voice, and it is the main character's sister. And I guess I came to that. It was a little self-indulgent, I will admit. But I did a lot of acting in middle school and high school, and I absolutely loved it. And I really wanted to get back into it. And I thought, if I can just have a tiny little part in that, when I make my next film, I'm going to do it. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to do it with the little voice actor thing. And also I didn't know who else would be interested in doing voice acting. So I was like, I'll just do it myself.
That was going to be my next question, was did you have a couple of people in mind and you were just like, "Oh, I'll do it myself"?
Yeah. I was just like, there was so much to worry about. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to do the voice. Easy. Just check that box real quick. That's done.
And how demanding of a director are you? Are you like a Stanley Kubrick where you're like, "All right, I have to do 600 takes from 40 different angles," or were you just like, "All right, let's get it done. We have 3 days. Just be perfect. That's all I ask."
Yeah, I don't think I'm a Stanley Kubrick at all. Not at all. No. Actually, if I were to say, I feel like I've grown a lot in the year that we shot it to now. And I think in a lot of ways I was way too lenient. I had, a tough time telling someone you're not really hitting it quite how I want you to, but now I think I've gotten more comfortable being more assertive and helping guide people in the direction that I want them to go.
So was it more, when you needed to correct somebody, was it like, "Oh my God, you're doing it wrong"? Or was it like, "That was great. Let's try it this way." And, good.
Yeah. Let's pretend like you know how to act. No, I would never say that.
I like the way you tried it. Now let's see if we can do it like professionals.
Yeah. I think I kind of said, I was like, okay, yeah, all right, good. Now let's tone it down a lot. Or I need to see way more. I just kind of play it off as, okay, that was good. Let's try something else. That kind of
No,
deal.
I didn't even have the lens cap off. I ran out of film an hour ago, so I don't even
Oh no. Hey, I forgot to hit record.
Oh, that was the best I've ever seen. Let's do it again. Now, one question I had that I didn't ask during our interview last week was, like you were talking about with the school, you had the option of getting more music. Not more music. I'm getting ahead of myself. More resources. So we were able to use those resources to get the music, like say the song that they're listening to in the car at the very beginning of the film.
So that is something that actually was so cool. So we met each other in February at something called Cocktails and Screens. It's now called Alchemy or something like that. Silver Screen.
Yeah, at Alchemy. Alchemy is the location.
Yeah. Okay. So we met each other there, and a few months before we were making Junkie, we had screened our 48-hour film there, and I met a man named Robbie, and he was amazing. Such a enthusiastic spirit, and he's also a rapper, and he had a kind of a music video thing entered into the screening as well. So I met him there, and then I kind of put out a call for music, and I put out this thing on the Rhode Island hip hop page on Facebook, and I said, hey, like, I don't know who's interested in this, whoever has work that sounds kind of like early 2000s, almost 90s throwback hip hop, but I need it for my film. You can be, your name will be in the credits, all that stuff. And he was the one who reached out to me, and he was like, oh, it's so nice to, talk to you again, and check out the music I have. And if you're interested in one of the songs, like, definitely use it. And so it was called Let It Go. I'm pretty sure, Let It Flow. But yeah, we used that one, and it was just perfect. It was exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, I think it fit the aesthetic really well. Now, next question I have, and obviously this isn't much of a spoiler, but do you the scene where there was some confusion over the difference between waffles and pancakes, is that based on a true story? Like,
no, that's not. That was just me thinking, like, how can I put some more humor into this? Because I don't want it to be just like depressing the whole time or whatever. But yeah, I was like, what's something funny that he would say, trying to get into, the best friend's head, Rex. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was definitely like so gung ho for. He's like, yeah, pancakes with chocolate chips and bananas. Oh yeah, and it's like these aren't pancakes. Yeah, I thought that was a fun scene. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So staying with that scene, where was it filmed, and was there? I mean, did they shut down the restaurant for you? How did that work out?
Yeah, so that was filmed at the Mattapoisett Diner in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts, and that was actually shot on a Sunday. And it was shot. We started filming at like 2:30 or 3, and keep in mind we shot this in November, so the sun sets at like what 4 or 5. Like, it was such a time crunch. It was insane, and we couldn't start filming any earlier because that's like their Sunday morning. Everybody goes to breakfast, and yeah, so it was just crazy. They were the best. The owners are literally angels. Like, they helped us so much with filming, and were just so accommodating. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause you guys didn't have like a ton of different spots where you shot. Like, there weren't a ton of locations. So I think that might have helped your setting things up, but that can also present a challenge. So how difficult was it to kind of get the right aesthetic based on the locations you had available? Like, designing the apartment, for lack of a better term. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, that was I'm getting like flashbacks to trying to get secure locations. Oh my gosh, that was so stressful. That was probably one of the most stressful things, because we didn't even have that clothing store until like the week of shooting. And I had, my actors are from New York City, and I'm training them up here, housing them. It was like super intense. I'm like, oh, we don't even have a store yet. But yeah, for the apartment, for example, we actually had a lot of leeway with that, because it was one of my best friends, Sarah Sutton. She lives near me, and she had this apartment. She was moving out. She was supposed to move out like the day that we were filming. And then she said, oh, I got to extend it a week of for you. So you can film there. You can just like trash the place however you want it and then clean it up. But yeah, it was just like people, friends, and connections that way who were just so willing to help, basically, is what helped us make the aesthetic look good.
That's excellent.
I could only imagine if the landlord came in to check on things and you see like all these drugs strewn around.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And then we had to like tape. She had the ceiling light, and she doesn't even know about this. So if she sees this is the first she's going to hear of it. But she had the ceiling light thing, and it was just in the shot, and it was so girly. And this is supposed to be this guy's apartment. So we had to tape it with duct tape up to the wall. And then it kept falling down in the middle of the shot, and we'd be like, cut. Take a break.
That's awesome. So, Leo, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to ask, was there any other production issues besides the fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was. I'm trying to think of like specific funny ones. A funny little annoying thing was we call it the void scene. It's when everything's black and it's just the main character alone. We used a fog machine, and I'm so glad we used that fog machine because it looks really cool and it just like fits the scene perfectly. But we had to basically we had someone like on fog machine duty pressing it right before we shot, but then like the sound of it would just like get in it was tough for the actor to focus. And then if we were using sound, like we used the fog machine for the apartment, and the thing would start making noises as we were filming, and we were like, wait, we have to redo that because the fog machine's like being such a pain. But yeah, that was just one of the small things.
I've used a fog machine on a set before, and it can create some really cool stuff, some really cool effects, but it also depends on what you're doing and how it's supposed to affect the actor. Because I remember the scene that we were doing, you had to like spray it right into his face, and he had to just like pretend that it wasn't there, and the noise definitely was an issue. So how did you overcome, like, was there a way of just filming out of sequence, or how did you overcome that specific obstacle?
Yeah, for the apartment scene in particular, we had again someone on fog machine duty, and eventually we learned the timing of it. So we would have them push the fog machine, start spurting out stuff, and we'd have them hold it for a while so that there was enough, and then we would wait like 15 seconds for all the little spurts that come after, because it makes noise. It's like burr, 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 like every time. So we would wait, and then it would be perfect, like the perfect amount of smoke and the perfect, like silence. It was just a matter of timing and learning to, okay, like how long do we have, basically.
What was the thing that, obviously as someone who is, studying film and studying how to create film, I'm sure there was a list of stuff. You're like, okay, this is what we need. This is what we're going to have. What was something that totally came out of left field and you were like, how did I not like think of this? Or I can't believe this is what's like throwing things off for me.
Oh man. Trying to think. Yeah, there was definitely some surprises. The last scene takes place in a like holding room at the ER, and that was really like go with the flow because we wanted a bunch of extras for that. And I put out like these casting calls, and then friends and family too who were interested, and then we had like a ton of people who said, oh, we're gonna come. And we were like, oh, great. And then the morning of, they were emailing me like, oh, sorry, I can't make it, blah, blah, blah. And then we had a ton of people who never said anything, who just showed up. we were like, oh, hello. So that was interesting because for the first time I was like, oh, I don't know how to position extras and tell them where to move and stuff. And so you'll see like there's two nurses who is actually my mom and my boyfriend's mom. So they're like walking and stuff. And then we realized, oh crap, we have to do this every single take, like have them be at the same spots they were. And it was just a lot of work. And I have so much more respect now for those huge movies where they have tons and tons of extras who are like all over the place, because that is a huge coordination effort.
Yeah. I would imagine so. Like, I don't have any experience directing films, but there's definitely a lot of stuff like, okay, this is what I'll need. Like, I learned a lot. Like, okay, you need sandbags to hold down your lights, and you need like, was there anything that was like, I don't want to say elementary, but like, was there something that was just like, oh, how did I miss this? Like, or like, oh, I didn't realize that I needed, X. Like, I found out that you should have a portable hard drive to back up all of your stuff directly from the camera. And you should have several of them because, depending on what you're filming, it's going to take up more and more memory. Was there something like that you were like, I have to last second get whatever?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question, because I feel like that's just such a funny moment. Like in the moment, it's so frustrating and you're like, are you kidding me? But then you look back on it, and you're like, that's pretty funny actually. So two things come to mind. The first one is we were shooting at the store, and it was just a huge effort between the person who's doing lights and our sound recorder. So there was, someone putting up lights, but we also needed the lights from the store because the ones we had just weren't going to be enough. But the lights from the store had this like really annoying humming sound. And we're like, oh no, this is so annoying. How do we like get around this? And so basically he was set up far away from what was making that humming. And then he tried to just eliminate it in post. And I think he did a pretty good job. But the second one, which is like so infuriating, it took us so long in post to fix this. And it could have been fixed by me on set saying like, no, do this instead. We were in the diner, and in the very back, I think it's when you're looking at Rex, in the very back, there is a TV and it's playing stuff. And one of my producers was like, oh, you need to turn that off because of copyright, which is, a fair thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's turn it off. And then our editor, the person who did the assembly edit, he said, oh, no, just put a blue screen on. I think he said blue. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, just blue screen. We need to get going. We're losing daylight, fine. And then in the edit, it took like probably 25 hours to try to fix that thing. And it was such a mess, because then we got into the colorist had already colored it without putting like VFX basically. And oh, that was so frustrating. I wish I just said like, no, just turn it off. Let's not even bother with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that point you're a new filmmaker, and you're talking to someone who, is giving you valuable advice, and they're like, yeah, just do this. And you're like, oh, they know what they're talking about. I'll do what they recommend because they know what they're doing. I mean, I'm assuming that this is not the same person who is going to have to fix everything in post.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously that's a valid fix, because when we went to the set of Death House, there was one room with all these computers. And I found it kind of odd, and I realized afterwards, like they had like paper taped over all the screens, and it was all green screens. So, and then you look back at the movie, they did the VFX to fill in the screens. Makes it easier,
Yeah.
but then there's a lot of work in post.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so tough to coordinate between like the person doing the edit and then your colorist, and there's all these different files moving around, and yeah, it gets a little bit crazy.
So we've talked about a lot of the stuff that went in during production. So tell us a little bit about what happened in post, because you had 3 days to put this all together. How long did it take before you got the final version of the film? And was there ever a point where it was just like, you have to hurry up and get this done because this department is waiting on you, and then this other department is waiting on you and this other person. We got to get something done here.
Yeah. So pretty much the person who did the assembly edit and the first draft, he started working on it right away. So right when we wrapped, it was like November 17th. And then I think I gave him like a week or two. And then so then I took it back, and it was the week of Thanksgiving. I remember this because it was the day before Thanksgiving, and I had our DP, Sean Campbell, and our AC, Eric Saw, sat with me in our editing bay at my work at the public access station. And we had to like really thoroughly go through the whole thing, like re-edit a ton of stuff. And then we were done with it. And then we sent it off to the colorist, who he was like, okay, I can give you guys a good deal. Like, you got to give me enough time though. And then all of a sudden I was like, can you edit it in a week? Like, is a week enough? So he had to edit it, go crazy. And at the same time, I was in California on a school trip. And then we sent it off to our sound designer, the person who's doing the sound and post. And he did a few things. And then I got the two together, mashed them together. And then there was a lot more to be done on sound. And I had to do it in like 2 days before the screening at URI on December 11th. So it was super stressful. I exported it like 30 minutes before the screening. And then we did some more final touches after the URI screening so that we could screen it in my hometown of Fairhaven on January something, like January 10.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there was a lot of moving parts. So how many different hats did you wear as far as this film went?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So I wrote it and I directed it. And then I did a lot of producing as well. And then I helped a lot with like set design and the art part of it. And then sound, I did a lot, editing. I think that's it. I'm of course managing all the Facebook, marketing, that stuff too. But yeah, that's like the obvious stuff.
And the acting part, the voiceover.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That too.
Now, how did you end up doing that? Was it just like, I'm guessing you didn't actually make the phone call, but how did you, rehearse that scene with him at the beginning, getting the partial voice message, and then the conversation and him reacting to it? Was there, did you play something that he could hear and react to, or how did you get that to give him something to react to and emote against?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I just love these questions because they're such like film nerd questions that nobody has asked me in the whole year since we finished. But yeah, so for that, I hadn't recorded yet what was going to be in the film when we were shooting it with Alessandro, that's his name, who plays Woody. And so what we did was in the apartment scene, just the apartment scene, and actually the void scene too, I was right there with him. And I was just like reading it as her. And I actually think I did a way better job when we were shooting and I was reading it to him, because I also had someone to like kind of bounce off of in a way. So I was in the room reading with him, kind of like directing. And then I recorded the actual thing later, I think like a few days later, just in a studio alone.
Yeah, I definitely think that, especially if it's supposed to be like an emotional scene, having someone to kind of react with helps. I think you did a good job with that. Like you got the sadness of the message across. But I would have been interested to hear the other version that you came up with.
Yeah. Yeah, I so wish I just could have like recorded it, as I was saying it to him in the room. I think that one was so much better. But oh well.
Do you think that the next time you make a film that you're just going to record all of that stuff just in case?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. I might just do that.
Leo, you got? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. So I was going to ask, so obviously, like Patrick said, you wore a lot of hats putting this movie together. Now, is that how they're teaching you at school, or and what software are they training you on? And if you want to discuss that.
Yeah, so I really like URI because it's just really flexible. They kind of give you freedom to just kind of do not whatever you want, but in a big way, like, I wanted to have a hand in actually doing some of my own sound design because I really have a level, like a standard that I want to bring it up to. It's not like they're like, oh, but you're only your writer and director. You can't do that. So the way that they do it is when you have a production class, you are expected, if you're going to direct that semester, you're expected to have a script, at least a first draft, but really you should have like your final script. And then you kind of all vote in class, like, okay, whose scripts should be made. So that way there's not like a ton of directors and then everybody, like there's no crew members. So, you vote on a few people who really have their stuff together. And then everybody else kind of picks. They have to crew, I think, on 2 or 3 films. Yeah, so that's basically how that goes.
Wow.
That seems fair.
Yeah, totally. And what software are they training you on?
Oh, right. Okay. So they're training us for editing. It's Adobe. And that was like a huge struggle for me because I came from Fairhaven High School, which is like a nationally recognized school for media production, but they train you on Final Cut. So I was, so about Final Cut. It was like the best to me. I was like, this is it. I'm not going to learn anything else. And then I went to URI, and my first semester there, they said, okay, no, you have to do it all on Premiere. And I hated it. I have pictures of myself like saved in my Snapchat going like, Premiere is like the butthole of editing. Like never I hate it. But now I love it. It's much better than Final Cut, in my opinion, anyways. But yeah.
Isn't it funny how that works, where it's like, this is what I'm comfortable with, therefore it's the best.
Yep.
And then you start using the different things, and it's like, okay, I'm comparing them side by side. Okay. All right. I can see the appeal to each. That's why they make chocolate and vanilla. I get it.
Exactly.
Well, there's also a war between Final Cut users and Premiere users, because a lot of people abandoned Final Cut when they moved to Final Cut X and moved over to Premiere, and I don't get the hate. I used Final Cut for a while, and I was actually editing a documentary, and it crashed on me, and I lost everything. And at that time, I went to Premiere and went through the same struggles of trying to learn it and everything, and been using that for a while. And now it's been like 5 years later, and I'm trying to go back to Final Cut. And it's after you leave it for a while, it's difficult to get back into that groove.
Yeah, is there a reason that you want to go back to it now?
Actually, a project I'm working on, they asked if I could do it in Final Cut, so that's why I decided to, I still own the license to it. So, I just loaded it on my Mac and, started going back to it.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be, well versed in different things to kind of diversify like that. Different productions want different.
Yeah. Yeah. Adobe is great though, because all the programs mesh together, like, if you're loading a PSD and you're working on some imagery in that, and then go into Photoshop, edit it, it like magically changes in the other program you're using in. Yeah.
I love that. It's like magic. It really is.
I haven't used any of those, so I don't know what you're talking about. So.
It's like gibberish over here. You're like, what are you talking about?
That's right. I was talking to Leo about sports stuff earlier, and that's not his area of expertise either. So, you know, everybody has their thing that they're very comfortable with, and you know, that's what kind of helps this whole community work together, because everybody is able to do different things. You might be you know, good at a bunch of stuff, but you know, you're always going to have areas of deficiencies that, you know, somebody else is going to have to help cover up. So that's just the way it is. You know, like if I need something, it's like, you know, Leo did a nice design for one of my podcasts, and after like the design I sent him looked like a chimp drew it with his tail. Like it was, yeah. Leo came up with this awesome design. I was like, oh, that's way better than what I, like, here's what I said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
Then, you know, who does the audio, you know, commercials, you know, it's,
that's true. I do all the audio stuff.
Yeah. Your commercials are like amazing.
Well, thank you. So what was, to you, Alyssa, the most surprising aspect of, like, when it came to cost? Like, I'm sure you assumed that, you know, getting the camera was going to cost a lot, but what was something that you're like, wow, I had no idea how much this was going to be? Was it your exorbitant salary that you decided to charge the university?
Yep, that was it. Gotta pay for my work. I'm trying to think. So things just started adding up quickly, you know, because I think when I was first thinking about my GoFundMe and what I want to put for a goal, I initially kind of said, I don't know, maybe I could ask for like 1,500 or 1,000. And my producers and the DP who he went through URI and has made a bunch of other films and stuff like that, they were both like, oh, no. You need to do like 3,000, you know, more than you think you'll need, because the money gets run up very quick. And then things like, you know, housing the actors and travel and food. Oh my gosh, food. Like that just adds up so quickly. And then again, like, I really wanted it to have great color. So the colorist, he's a professional, obviously, so we need to pay him what he's worth. And yeah, that kind of stuff just adds up so quickly.
Yeah, all those chocolate banana waffles and pancakes. I mean,
you know, oh, I have a funny story about that. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the diner was so kind to give the whole cast and crew free food, and it was breakfast food, so it was amazing. It was so good. So they gave us all free food, and we kind of had a list of like what we would like for food, and there's a bunch of different stuff, like, oh, we'll have like sausages and pancakes and this and that. And I said, I think I said 2 chocolate and banana pancakes, because that's our prop. And they said, okay, so they made that. First mistake on my part, you don't ask for just one, you need duplicates. But anyways, yeah, so we asked for that. And then I was off with the chicken with its head cut off, like running all over the place, like, hi, how you doing? Okay, we have this much time to this, blah, 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 blah. So I'm running around, and then my producers come up to me and they say, Alyssa, we need to talk to you. And I said, okay, what? And they pulled me aside and they said, look at our actor's plate. And it was the cop who was meaner. He has more of like a caricature kind of a deal going on. And there he is eating the chocolate and banana pancake. And I was like, oh.
That.
Okay. Oh, we did that. So I had to ask the owners, I was like, I'm so sorry, but can we have a second plate of chocolate and banana pancakes? And they were like, oh, we turned the oven off, but we can do it. We can do it for you. So they were so kind. Oh. That's just one of the of how kind they were.
See, that's the type of stuff that belongs on like the audio commentary, you know, for the physical release.
Yeah.
Like, because that's a great story, and that's absolutely a learning experience.
Oh, 100%. I'm never going to ask for just one of a prop ever again.
Especially an edible prop.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I will say, though, there is just something so magical about breakfast food. Like, we did that for our wedding, and it was like the greatest thing ever.
Ooh.
We had a breakfast buffet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's unique, too, for a wedding. I like that.
Especially at night, because it was like 8 o'clock when everybody started eating. So
that's a hit, though.
Oh yeah,
breakfast for dinner.
It was great, and all the leftovers like that made it worth it. So we've gone over some of the weird stuff. Was there anything that, this is going to sound weird and is by no means an indictment of you as a filmmaker, but was there anything that you were like, oh, that went off perfectly, now I'm suspicious? Like,
oh, yeah, I'm sure that, yeah. So, something that comes to mind is the store scene. So there's a bit of a stunt there, and that's kind of what had me worried for a bit before leading up to the shoot, because, I was just learning about how you really should have like a stunt coordinator for any little thing, and you really need to take care of your actors because they're putting their trust in you, and that's how you get good performances and that kind of stuff. So before that, I was in contact with someone who is a stunt coordinator in SAG, and he was like, oh, well, I can't be paid for it because that's like a SAG rule.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so I had my AD was in like a stunt class, so it worked out perfectly. He came up with a plan, blah, blah, blah. And then we showed up to set, and we went through the beginning of the store scene stuff, and then when it came time for the stunt, he was talking to the actors, and he was like, okay, so you're going to fall on this. And it was just a pile of pillows and clothing. It's like, oh no. I was like, oh no. Because I emailed the actors beforehand, and I said, hello, New York City actors. I just want to let you know I have your safety in mind. We have a stunt coordinator who's going to be on set because, he's in a class. I just called him, someone who's specifying in stunts or whatever. And then he's out here saying, well, okay, you're going to fall on this. And it's like a bunch of pillows. So we shot it, and we only got to do the scene where there's the stunt, tackle stuff, things fall, whatever. We only got to do it once. And that was because the thing that they fell on broke. And we were very short in time. So I was like, that looked really good in camera. I think that went really well, but it feels too good to be true. And then we looked back on it, and you could see in the corner of the frame, like the pillows and stuff on the floor. But, we cropped it out and all that, and it worked out okay.
Well, I would think, like, even in that situation, it's like, you're at a boutique store. Like, it didn't seem like a department store. It seemed like, okay, this is like a boutique where you would find lots of different items, like almost like a thrift store, but like not quite that same aesthetic.
Yeah.
'Cause it definitely didn't have the feel of like a Marshall's or like a Kohl's or something like that. Shows you what my normal price range for clothing is, because that's the first two things I thought of. But yeah, it's not like one of those huge department stores. Like, I don't know, what's a fancy store? I don't know. I don't know fancy stores.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because picking the store and the fact that it was like a boutique store kind of worried me a bit. It was smaller than we wanted, because this is based on a true story, and the true story, when that scene happens, that took place in a Marshall's.
Oh, okay, so I was on the right track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with some of the dialogue that goes on in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a huge store, and this is, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole aesthetic of the film, I think, is really aided by the way, like the looks of the actors. I do want to touch base because I know we're getting close on time, but your effects, your makeup effects person, because as we see in the trailer, Whitty ends up with a broken nose, and it is a very convincing. I wouldn't have been surprised if you were like, yeah, that stunt that we only got to do once, it went horribly wrong, but it ended up working out okay. It looked very realistic and was very well done.
Yeah, that was Claudia Nagalia. She's so talented, and it's crazy because she hadn't done makeup for a good stint of time before Junkie. And it's just a hobby for her, really. It's just something that she enjoys, and she used to make like YouTube videos out of it and that sort of thing. But yeah, she's just so good, and she likes to do her like online research and planning, and that's how she pulled that off pretty much.
Yeah, it was very well done, very realistic. Obviously, somebody who has a lot of ability and knows what they're doing, because it could have gone very wrong. Like I've seen, I've seen some half-ass stuff.
Yeah,
but this It wasn't just that the makeup was done really well. It was that it all also paired well with the fact that it's it's not just like this just happened. It's this happened. He's gotten a little bit of treatment because he's got the hospital gown on. He's been cleaned up a little bit. That I think is what might be the most impressive part of that, because it's not just like, oh, this is a fresh wound. He's been cleaned up a little bit and it looks like it's been treated by a medical professional.
Yeah, she was so good with that too. And to her credit, absolutely, because I would just kind of throw things out there like, it's unfortunate you actually don't really get to see his nose in the scene where things happen like fresh, because he did do makeup for that too, but it just didn't make it into the cut. But yeah, for that scene especially, you can tell that there's been a little bit of time, and on my end, I was like, okay, Claudia, now is, this scene, and I just need it to look like it's been a bit, like it's not fresh, that's it. And I would run off and do other things, and she was like, okay, I got it. She's just one of those people that she really internalizes it and thinks about it and thinks about in real life, what would this look like? And then she just made it happen.
Yeah, she did a really good job. And that's the thing, like, you were a first-time filmmaker, but you had a lot of people who have experience and who have like specific expertise that, were helping you along. And I think that was really a benefit to your film and helped things out, and really, from what I gathered, helped get your vision onto screen. Now, was there anybody else that was a neophyte like you? Like, was somebody else like, this is my first time, I've worked on films before, but, I directed, but, now I'm, line producing, or now I'm, doing effects, it's something like that.
Yeah. I think so. A lot of people who are in my same class. So the person who is my AD, that was his first time, and he also edited, and he does a lot of editing for YouTube videos, but not so much for films. So that was his first time. My producers also, I believe it was their first time producing, and the sound person as well. We had two different people who were doing lighting, and the first one, it was his first time. Yes, it was so cool. I to reach out to my alma mater, high school, where I did media production, and I reached out to my teacher and I said, like, oh, if there's anyone really involved in filmmaking and who's really passionate about it, send them my way, because we need PAs. And so we got this one guy, Charlie Fernandez, and he was so good. He was so like roll with the punches. He actually was a double for a second, because the first car scene that you see when Rex is driving, Rex is driving, that actor is from New York and he does not drive. He doesn't even have his permit, never drove in his life. Again, one of those things where I was like, oh crap. So we had our PA double in for him, wear the beanie and stuff like that. So yeah, we had quite a few first timers as well. And it was just so awesome for everybody to connect.
See, and that just, again, lends itself more to the it's a credit to everyone, because like, this is your first film. This is the first time, not just for you as a director, and we tend to just focus on the director, but, without the crew, it's not the same. Like, I was looking to do a film myself at some point, and like, the team that I have that's going to be working with me are all seasoned filmmakers, because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I would need help with that. And I think that, everybody working together, everybody learning a new job, and I think especially with you being the director, kind of like, I guess for lack of a better term, the matriarch of the film, you're kind of having to learn everybody else's jobs as well to make sure that what's being done is done correctly. Now, is that something that you felt was gave you added stress? Because I'm sure you're already running around like a maniac, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. Because for me, this was just so legitimate. And in high school, I had made a few things that I took very seriously in high school, but again, there just wasn't that same pressure. And if I had anyone else on my film, it would be like, I don't know, someone who would kind of help me with camera. Like, it was really just me in high school. It was me doing camera, lighting, writing, producing, getting friends to act. And it was just me figuring out everything, and it was just not legitimate at all. So then when it came time to do the real thing, where people have like their own positions and stuff, it was very intimidating. And I wanted to just be sure that, okay, I kind of have an idea of what everybody should be doing. In the 48-hour film projects, I had done 2 of them at that point. So that really helped as well for me to kind of quickly learn what everyone should be doing and how I can guide them and stuff like that.
And I think that, it definitely showed in the final product. Like, it's, like Leo and I both said, and Ash has said, and, there were several other people that approached you at the screening in February. This was very impressive for a first-time effort, and, you and everyone involved should be very proud with the product that you made.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So what's next? Are you going to be expanding on this movie, or are you moving on to another project, or are you going to be showing this movie anywhere else?
Yeah, so for Junkie, it's come to a close. It's it'll be, actually it already is on YouTube. And I've had some people ask me like, "Oh, you should do a part 2 or something like that." And for a while, I'm going to, put it to bed. And my next project will be in the spring. I'll be writing and directing it as well. And it'll be in 17th century New England. Oh. And it has some witchcraft themes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, very different than this one.
Well, you definitely have to hit us up when you get that finished.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and Ash has already told her if she's looking for any actual witchy stuff, we know some folks that can give you the lowdown.
That would be awesome. That would be so awesome.
So I know we're coming up on time. I know this is a huge question, but you can keep it short if you want. What films inspired you, and what films, you don't have to name them all, but what are some that are in your personal top 5?
Okay, yeah. So for inspiring me, and in my top 5, I'm just going to knock out 3. The Lord of the Rings series, 1, 2, and 3. All perfect, flawless, amazing movies. So them, and then very recently, I finally watched it, Titanic. Amazing, most emotional film I've ever seen. I know it's very mainstream, but still. And then A Ghost Story, directed by David Lowery, is very indie, and I love that movie. So that's definitely one of my favorites.
I've been wanting to watch A Ghost Story. It's on my list to watch. So it's
yes.
See, now I bet you're very glad that we asked you that the other day, because now you have that answer ready to go.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I had trouble last week. I was like, oh.
Okay. Follow-up question: Lord of the Rings, theatrical or extended?
Oh, I don't know if I've seen the extended.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot more stuff with Boromir and Faramir and his dad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It's a total time suck though. It's
Oh yeah, they're 4 hours each.
Oh my gosh. I gotta do it though, because those movies are the best of all time.
I think you owe it to yourself to watch more, to watch the extended cut, because like we said with Ashes last week, her first time viewing them was the extended cuts. I hadn't seen the extended cuts either. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like really cool. Like there's a lot more stuff.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you'll get a kick out of it, especially like the Two Towers stuff. Ooh, yeah. More battle stuff, more Saruman and Grima Wormtongue, and oh yeah. There's some doings that transpire in there.
That will make 2020 better.
Yes.
That will heal this year.
Yeah, book yourself a couple of days though, because you don't want to do it all in one sitting. You're looking at like 13 hours.
Oh my gosh. That is more than a full-time day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to watch Hobbit as well. It's
the three of those, yeah,
and the extended versions of those as well.
Oh my gosh, this is a lot. I'm gonna do it though. I will.
I think you should. Don't put that up, Leo.
No, I was trying to delete it.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, you want to become famous? Buy followers. It's like, thanks, but.
No, the other is like I can see, like if I know you can see my control panel because I'm pointing at it. No, you can't.
See right into your house. Not that you know of.
So normally, because they did it on Twitch, I don't have it. Normally there's like a option where I can block the user or delete the comment. So I guess Twitch doesn't have that moderation built in. But
not yet.
No.
Well, that's your next project, Leo.
Yeah, actually, I've been
that for Twitch.
I've been playing a little more with Wirecast. I'm toying with the idea of going back to that. So.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be the next project. So, Alyssa, where do you like people and fans interacting with you?
Yeah, so my Facebook is a great place. It's just my name, Alyssa Botelho. And we also have Junkie has a Facebook page as well. And then Instagram too, Alyssa.Botelho.
And I got those links in the show notes down below or up above. And more importantly, the link to Junkie, which is available today. So definitely set some time aside and watch it. It's definitely worth a watch. We urge everybody to check it out. And
yes.
Patrick.
The same questions. You can find me here pretty much every Monday. On Tuesday, no, I don't do anything on Tuesdays. I mean, I record on Tuesdays. We record the Loudest Sports Show, which drops on Fridays. Then every Thursday, wrong arm. See, I always screw that up. Throwdown Thursday, every Thursday, as it has been for the past 230 Thursdays, and will continue to be so in the for the foreseeable future. Wow. You can also find me on throwdownthursdaypodcast.com, where I write, various articles. I just put one up about what makes a Christmas movie, and does Die Hard count as a Christmas movie? And I use science to back myself up.
Nice. I can't wait to hear that or read that.
You can figure out which side I fall on. And, I as I've progressed through life, I'm not going to say get older, kind of progress, like an RPG, as I've leveled up over time. I've softened my stances. I'm no longer completely rigid when it comes to this is how it is, and there's no way you could convince me otherwise. So I think I've made a couple of pretty good arguments for and against various films.
And that's an article on your webpage, which I have the links for that down below or up above as well.
Oh, and I just remembered, VHS Nightmares just dropped on Kindle, and I have a story in there. It's all about the theme of the book is it's July 1991. You're with your friends or you're by yourself, but you're going to the local video store and you're picking out a movie, and that's where things happen. Like maybe what happens is your movie is a little too real, or maybe what you choose is maybe the wrong choice for that particular day. There's a bunch of different stories from a bunch of different folks, including mine called Ladies Night. And that is available on Kindle now for $7.99. And that is the third thing that I have had come out this year that I have been a part of, and I'm very excited for it.
Totally. And how do you tip it, or how much do you tip an Exorcist? I have the links in chat as well for that, which also came out recently. That sounds like a cool story, because we're never going to get those days back of going to the VHS store and picking out movies for the weekend. And
Alyssa's sitting there nodding her head like she knows what we're talking about.
I barely know. Deep memories of Blockbuster. Deep. Maybe
now hold on. Let me ask you this, and I'm sure you can give us a definitive answer. How old were you, July 1991?
-8.
See, I just wanted to make Leo feel old.
Oh, jeez. I was a junior in high school.
Leo had been out of college for 12 years at that point.
And what about you, Patrick?
I was 10.
Okay.
I was 10, and I remember my video store very, very fondly, and I based my entire story around the experience of when I was writing it. I was imagining myself walking through and looking at all the different things. I remembered the layout of the store. I remembered where the adult section was that I never went to. I remembered where the horror section was. I remembered some of the movies that I would look at over and over and over again and never rent, like Deep Star 6, which I finally just saw 2 years ago. But yeah, it's all about, those days. So not the blockbusters, Alyssa. We're talking like just like the mom and pop, kind of like, to bring it back to Junkie, the boutique compared to Marshall's.
Oh, I didn't even know that they had mom and pop video.
Oh yeah.
So I thought it was like just Blockbuster.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean that's those were the first ones that popped up, was the little mom and pop shop. Just
And some places would rent you Nintendo games. Some places would rent you the VCR.
Wow.
Yeah, I recommend, if there are some movies that came out in the 80s, find a VCR. You can find them fairly cheap, usually at yard sales or flea markets. You might find some old VHS tapes, especially some of the Disney stuff. Like Ash, she had never seen Die Hard. We watched it on VHS the first time she saw it, and it's like, this is what it looked like back when it came out. And I think you might even find some new filmmaking tricks, some thoughts and feelings on, oh, maybe I could do this, make it look like this, or I don't know.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. I just have to say, I was one of the weirdos that would like walk by somebody at the store when they were picking up a sucky movie and say, no, you don't want that one. You want that one. And just start random conversations. I miss those days. Okay, we'll wrap things up. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, we urge you to definitely check out Junkie. The notes are I'm all flustered here because I'm thinking about Blockbuster. The link for Junkie is in the show notes. Definitely follow Alyssa And I want to thank you all. And head on over to thedorkening.com, which you can find all the shows on the network. And I want to thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.